Hello, folks. I greet you. Welcome to Homo Politicus, in which we discuss issues thrown up by our country, Nigeria. And today, Southern and Middle Belt leaders petitioned Tinubu on restructuring. Did you get that right? Southern and Middle Belt leaders petitioned President Tinubu on restructuring. You know, any debate or talk about our countryhood or nationhood is bound to be intense and sometimes extreme. Yet, as far as I can remember, in our near 64 years of being, government after government had quipped that Nigeria's continuity or unity was non-negotiable. But is this necessarily true? The Irish playwright and critic George Bernard Shaw left us a line to ponder. He said, let me quote him, "Patriotism is fundamentally a conviction that a particular country is the best in the world because you were born in it." End quote. Now, after 10 constitutional conferences and reports, we are still floundering. Southern and Middle Belt leaders have petitioned Mr. President about restructuring the country and provokes the question, are they sincere? And for that matter, are you persuaded? Let's have a conversation, please. My conversationalists are familiar, but let's meet and greet them. Cyril Abaku is a broadcaster and a public affairs analyst. Cyril, Happy New Year one more time.
Happy New Year to you, Citizen Jones. I'm glad to be here with you.
Jumoke Alaude James is also a broadcaster. Jumoke, good to see you.
Great to see you. Happy New Year, sir.
And great that you're discussing my country, your country.
Yes.
Good.
I love to discuss Nigeria.
So let's go there. Southern and Middle Belt leaders have petitioned President Tinubu on restructuring. First of all, do you understand the concept of restructuring?
Well, there are as many concepts of restructuring as there are people in Nigeria, to be honest with you. Because I remember when President Tinubu was governor of Lagos State, his attorney general at the time, recent vice president, Yemi Oshibajo, professor, went to court as many as 6 or 7 times asking that the country be restructured so that Lagos State at the time would have true federalism and we could be in charge of our own resources at the time, And when he got into government, in alliance with President Buhari, he then said that restructuring may not be the solution that Nigeria needs. Now, when the Middle Belt leaders are clamoring, you say, oh, is it because of the amount of clashes? We call it massacre for what it is, that you see in the Middle Belt recently. When the Southern leaders clamor for restructuring, you say, but your son was there up to 2015, and particularly in 2014 when he gathered Nigerians, about 400 of them, for the 2014 confab, he mentioned that Nigeria's unity was non-negotiable at that point.
Who is this he?
President Jonathan.
Okay, at the time.
At the time, So when his people now clamor for restructuring, you say,
is he sincere?
Are you sincere? Do we only clamor when we are out of government? Because that's what it seems like. I'm expecting that
when we seemingly are holding the short end of the stick.
I agree, sir. I believe that very soon you will see northern leaders also clamoring because now their son is not the one in government. Where the mistake of Nigeria happened was in the amalgamation in 1914, where different ethnicities, people who had found ways of living peacefully as different peoples and cultures, were forcefully brought together. And since that amalgamation, we've truly not had peace, to be honest with you. It's 110 years now, and we still do not have peace. And if you keep on saying that our unity is non-negotiable, you keep on, encouraging, engendering the ethnic wars and arguments that you see, I mean, across our polity today. You know, let's come back to the drawing table.
In your heart of hearts, the unity of the country is negotiable.
Yes, it is.
If you ask me.
Yes.
Cyril, you know, what she talked about former President Jonathan reminds me and you about a little something former Governor Obong Atta of Akwa Ibom State then dropped on the table. He talked about resource control. It egged former President Obasanjo to no end. Are you surprised at that?
I'm not surprised. The argument about restructuring will continue. First, I mean, even if we had more powers devolved to the regions, to the states, as the case may be, restructuring is a process. It's not an end in itself. That's one. Number two is the fact that the milieu in which Obong Victor Atta, the class of 99 Sasat governors, James Onanife Bori of Delta, there was a DS Palemi sent by us, there was Peter Odili in River State and so on, Lucky Benedion in Edo. The milieu in which they wanted resource control might have come a bit too early in the day for the president, who had just become head of state after return to military rule and was seeking to stabilize the Nigerian state. And because, again, you look at the fact that prior to that time, there had been a political solution to the fact that the Supreme Court had maliciously ruled against the littoral states having more control of their resources. And that, if you look at what the Supreme Court said back then, it was like saying the waterways or so that whatever was there didn't belong to the states. In fact, it ruled in such a way that any country could just come there and take whatever it was. But
they talk about 200 nautical
miles of but let's come back
territorial waters.
Yes, territorial waters. But let's come back to the matter on the table. I want to look at our recent experiment or our recent experience of Obasanjo, Yar'Adua, Jonathan and co. I'm not aware if Yar'Adua and Jonathan, or Jonathan in particular, promised restructuring. That's one. In 2014, the confab report, even where the 2014 confab report didn't specifically recommend restructuring, it did make some fiery recommendations about state creation, about moving chapter 2 of the constitution to chapter 4, and so on. All of these would have been grounds for moving more powers to the people. Now, fundamentally, it could be argued that Goodluck Jonathan, having come from Bayelsa State, already should have been a given that would have been a president who would have been, as it were, disposed to, very, very highly disposed to true federalism, because it would have favored him. But
still, let me interject here. It begs the question of, if you were president of a country like Nigeria, given our peculiarities, could you be your own man?
So yes, you could be your own man, to the extent that a president like, I mean, in the military era, we had Babangida and Abacha, they were largely their own men. Go on, my
military.
No, I'm coming. In the civilian era, we had a president who was so much his own man, he was even on the verge of getting tenure elongation. President Obasanjo. At a point, the Nigerian state was
a military
background.
Of course, he did. But again, the point is, it was a democratic era, and he was able to maneuver his way. I mean, there were many constitutions.
So Obasanjo had a daring, which you could say was peculiar to military people.
Yes.
But then he wasn't moving with that daring in seeking true federalism. This is the problem now. Like Jonathan's confab of 2014, Obasanjo's National Reform Conference of 2005, I remember very well, and all perhaps 8 other conferences before that. Abacha had one. I think Babangida had one or so, and so on and so forth. What has been the common tone in all 10 conference reports? That's the first question. Secondly, how is it that we now have a president in Bola Ahmed Tinubu who is Yoruba for good reason? I know why I'm coming there. Who is Yoruba for good reason, and who has both personally and as Yoruba been at the arrowhead of the clamor
For restructuring.
For restructuring.
Yes, sir.
Call it that name. Call it devolution of powers. But if there's any political bloc in Nigeria that has been more astute, more articulated, more organized, in making a case for restructuring, it has been the Yoruba.
Yes, sir.
And Bola Tinubu at the point became the voice of that movement, of that advocacy. Now, as president,
you are going to where the question I raised earlier on. Could you be your own man?
No, but of course, again, if because of course, elections in Nigeria are not won entirely at the ballot. In fact, there are those who will tell you that Bola Tinubu probably didn't win the election at the ballot. I'm not of that school.
Debatable.
Debatable. But did he win the election at the level of the political elite? Yes, he did.
Debatable.
Well, I mean, in a manner of speaking, when you talk the elite, the establishment, the governors, talking about governors, talking about maybe even retired generals, talking about those who as it were own Nigeria, okay? I think that if he hadn't gotten that critical acceptance, this president, let's look at when he was campaigning. There were issues about whether he was saying things that he was not saying voluntarily or not. There were issues of the way he was talking and so on. But it looked as if the political class was bent, was committed in their unity and their resolution or their commitment in making that Bola Tinubu became president of Nigeria.
Is he his own man?
No, so I'm coming.
So it has nothing to do with the Emilokon toga.
No, well, I want us to keep the discussion within the
Emilokon means it's my turn.
Yes,
yeah.
But you see, a man who for perhaps 15 to 20 years had one message. We also had a thought of Obasanjo. Obasanjo stopped paying monies to Lagos State. He found a way around it. He was constantly always in court, that the Supreme Court very much versus Lagos State. Now, normally people would have thought hiring this man to run Nigeria will come
was a big boon to Nigeria.
Yes, will have international consequences. He will move for restructuring.
Yes.
Therefore, we shouldn't even let him. But they allowed him to come in, knowing that he will be a man that will make a case for restructuring. That is
pro-restructuring.
Yes. So, but now that he's in office,
is he his
we
own
are
man?
not seeing. My argument is this: since 1999 to this day, I have not seen anybody who has been more consistent as a politician, more relevant, more towering, more present, more visible than Tinubu.
Yeah,
in terms of the watches he has commanded, the loyalists,
I understand, Cyril. Jumoke, let's go there. The federalism thrives on three major institutions. In this case, the presidency, the executive, the legislative, and the judiciary. The executive, the legislature in Nigeria, the 10th National Assembly, would you say is working for Nigeria?
Rubber stamp, sir. Rubber stamp. If we say that the 9th Assembly was a rubber stamp, anything President Buhari wanted, they assented to. The 10th Assembly is maybe it's plastic safe.
No, but hold on. Former President Buhari wanted a measure of what do you call it now? A measure of independence for the judiciary and the legislature.
He did not.
Wanted.
He did not.
There was Executive Order 10.
I have evidence that he did not. Like Buhari.
He was a trained military man also.
Like Buhari, like Tinubu now. The two presidents who made purchases without appropriation, without parliamentary approval, without clearance from the lawmakers. You cannot.
Cyril, when he asked that state governors hands off monies to local governments, what happened?
So this is again the problem.
You think
no. I can address that question.
I think that's a political solution to local governments saying that they were denied funding. So
governors went to court.
Yes, we would send you your money directly, and governors did not want it because they also, we've talked about politicking. And politicians wanting to hold on to their bases. Pretty much like what Governor
Wike... Restructuring to me here,
yes, sir.
As we're discussing, is dead on arrival. Any discussion about it?
It looks dead on arrival because coming back to the history of, confab in 2014 and an Ijaw man from Bayelsa State, who else, could have really pushed for restructuring and gotten it as a president, Coming back to that history and coming back to the history of now President Tinubu as governor of also a Lagos state with the amount of resources that he had and being denied, it was at the time local government funding. Lagos State was still getting a state allocation, but President Obasanjo stopped paying the local government, pretty much similar to what President Buhari wanted to do.
16 months. It happened with Akwa Ibom too. Stop Akwa Ibom zone for 20 months.
So the idea of restructuring seems plausible, wanted, needed when a political leader is in his region, like a Governor Bola Tinubu being denied of local government funding or allocations from the federal. But once you get into the center is too powerful. It devolves you of reality. You no longer feel the pulse of the people. You think that you're doing fantastic. President Jonathan used to come out and say, it used to shock him that they will be at federal executive committee meetings and they would agree, let's do this, let's name Unilag, Maolag. And then you announce it and there's an uproar and you're wondering, but we are doing something good though. Aren't we trying to recognize their own MKO? Why are they shouting? Why are they protesting? Because you are totally devolved, removed from what's happening in the grassroots and what the people want. Your political aides are telling you what they want you to hear.
Yeah, but Jumoke, you see,
so therefore, I will agree that restructuring is dead on arrival. If, as a politician, you are thinking on behalf of the people. Also,
supposedly,
if as a political leader, you gather the people together and then say to them, Nigeria's unity is non-negotiable. Nothing should be non-negotiable. We ought to all come to the table and agree how we want to move together as one. Because my own thief in Nigeria is usually better than yours. Once he is my ethnic brother, it's okay with me.
All right. Let me share some names here. The leaders of the southern and middle belt areas of the country comprise Edwin Clark, Ayo Adebanjo, Emmanuel Iwayan, Pogu Bitrus, and Emmanuel Iborisian.
Now, this was the point I was about to make, citizen.
What point now?
These are well-known
leaders.
People who have been in Nigeria in the public service, in the public space for perhaps since 1960 or 70.
63 years, going on 64 years.
Now, the point is, the issues you raised earlier about money is going to state to the local governments directly. This is about, what's it called now? President Buhari saying that assembly should get their monies and so on. All of those are exactly the things that federalism ought to cure. Those themselves are the problems. And President Buhari worked, I don't know if I would say deliberately, to further undermine national security by actually working determinedly against every known tenet of true federalism. Let me give an example. The presidency, then, as the 99 constitution, as you see it, our constitution has no business having local government issues in it. That's the first issue. The president should not have any business talking about governors giving money to lawmakers, whatever it is. Number 3 is the fact that why should the presidency be holding allocation for state when they say should be the ones paying taxes to the federal government?
I agree.
This is exactly the crux of the matter we talk about fiscal federalism. Everything is here, so you have a federal government that can hold us to ransom. How do you become a country in the first place?
I agree.
We willingly came together. Now somebody is sitting up and saying, don't go there.
I agree.
Don't go there. What kind of thing is that?
Serious, but if you spread Nigeria on this table now, you realize that a majority tribesman had been at the helm.
No.
And we're still where we are.
And so they converse.
Right from the time of Gowon to this day.
Let me even give a context to this whole letter written by the leaders of the South Middle Belt, the South Middle Belt leaders. It wasn't just about the structuring. These killings that happened in Plateau, part of the clamor is that you need to allow for state police to be created. You see, the challenge we have in this country is to say, let's wear white, let's all wear white and come to work. White is very susceptible to stain. So after the one, they say, white has a way of spoiling the thing. Don't wear white again. but in Europe and other places, they will sit down and say, why is white always being stained? By the way, you can walk on the streets of Washington morning till evening, your shoe won't be dirty. The sole of your shoe, you come out to your hotel room and it is looking as new as the day you bought it. You can't try that even in Alausa. You can't try that even in Asokoro. Okay? So the question is...
Because we're Africans?
I don't know what it is. So the question is...
Oh, they don't have dust over there.
Yes. So the question is it the system or those running the system?
Both.
No, the system...
No. But let me ask you. I don't know how rhetorical this sounds. Is our problem constitutional, Jumoke?
I think that it is. Particularly...
But I'm asking essentially because I've said this before. The 1999 Constitution, as amended, to me, has no problem. But we are not following the...
We are not implementing.
Can I answer the question this way, please? If you just bear with me. Look at Plateau State, for example. People are being killed every day. I'm coming.
Cyril, they have always been killed. There had always been that trouble in Plateau State.
It's okay
for us to continue like that.
Can I just land? In a space of 2-3 days, people have been killed in hundreds.
Yes, sir.
One. In July, the governor and his counterpart in Zamfara State ran to Abuja to meet the chief of defense staff and begged him and said, we need help. The CDS said, go back to your states, especially the one Plateau, and said, go and find out what's going on and resolve the conflict. That's what he told him. Before then, in 2019, Governor Oyetola of Osun, when the bandits when the gold miners in Zamfara were being chased away, they ran to Elisha. The governor had to run to Abuja again to meet the then Army Chief of Army Staff, I think Burate, to beg him and say, can you send us soldiers to man those places, those illegal miners and Number 3, this current one now. People were killed, corpses were littered, they were picking corpses off the street. The governor cannot do anything about it. He now has to
No.
wait.
Why can't he do?
Because
what can he do?
What can he do? What does he command?
He's not the chief security officer.
So why does he keep collecting security votes?
No, so what does he do with this? Is the problem.
What does he do with the security votes?
Yes, and what is he supposed to do with it? By law.
True.
What should he do? Except that he won't give us.
True.
What should he do with it?
True.
Even if you give the police commissioner 100 billion today, if you say, can you move? He says, okay, I don't take orders from you. He will not move.
True.
He will not move.
That's
the problem. He will not move. How can the governor be receiving security vote? I cannot use the security vote.
Except that they are not accountable for it.
Exactly. So now the governor has to wait.
He has to call IG.
The vice president came. Then they later on the CDS and other people came. And what are they doing? I'm not trying to satirize it. They came to the airport. They took a salute. They of course CDS don't come now. They will salute and everything. But that's what people are looking for. Farmlands have been lost. Livelihoods have been lost. People have died.
Communities taken
have
over.
Been raised. And the governor is sitting and watching. When they go to say, meet you in the same thing happened.
Former governor Matawale of Zamfara was living in Abuja because of security issues in the state.
The only argument they have against it is that governors use it against what's it called?
Which is a valid fear.
Wait, hold on. So
Syria, is the fear not valid?
It's a valid fear.
I brought it to the table now. It's fine. It's a valid fear.
Is the fear not valid?
It is a valid fear. But shall we live in fear until freedom comes? No. But the question is, if we give governors powers over police, what then exactly?
No. Cyril, I understand. Just a minute. So why then do you say Nigerian governors are very powerful? Powerful in what sense?
I've never said that. The power of Nigerian governors.
You said something.
I believe it. That
Nigerian governors.
They are powerful to the extent of the amount of resources they have within
you
their...
are talking about money power.
Yes. But when it comes to securing their state, because they have no control, not because they do not have powers, embedded in their office, but because they do not have control over the security forces.
So what? Sorry.
The IG can call back the policemen of the governor.
What is Governor Zulum of Borno State doing differently?
Well, he's outstanding.
No. Jumoke, hold on. You want us to go partisan now? In Plateau, the governor is PDP. In Borno, the governor is APC. The Governor Zulu was fired upon several. Was it before around 2018, 17, or I think 18, 19, 20? I don't know whoever they were fired on his convoy about 3 times.
Yes.
A sitting governor, they fired on his convoy like 3 times.
Yes.
When police people get intelligence around the state, they don't give it to you first. They serve it first to Abuja. It's like the power grid sort of thing that in 2023 Nigeria is still talking about power grid. You generate power here in Lagos or Abeokuta. You now first feed it to a power grid that you don't know where it is. It will travel from here to Kano. If you generated 10,000, by the time it gets to Kano, maybe it has depleted to like 6,000. Kano now decided to send the power to, and to send it back to your place.
Serial.
I'm not joking in this country.
Serial.
In Rivers State, the governor was fired upon. It's still going to, and believe me, it
happened also to Governor, even Akeredolu of Ondo State was attacked. Now, Governor Zulum is outstanding because we know Borno before he became governor. So that he even started to show a human face to all of the terrorist attacks and started organizing vigilantes, which is pretty much what a governor can do. Civilian joint force.
Jumoke, he is telling you it can be done.
No, but is that what the governor should be doing? Is that civilization?
Hold on.
Is that civilization?
As Chief Executive Officer of a state, what are you talking about?
No, if you have your own police by constitution, rather than gathering civilian joint force and just giving them arms, you can actually, this your civilian joint force, you can actually put them into training when you have your state police.
Good. Cyril, in trying to take this issue home, let's talk about first steps to restructuring the country.
What must happen is simple. Why should we restructure?
Yes. Resource control.
Let me go back to the very basics. People just say it is because governors or other want to get more money. As a matter of fact, who told us that this state structure is what it ought to be? I'll give you several examples. Dekiti are a very unique and distinct
people.
People. So it's okay that they're Ekiti state. The Jebu, I believe, are also deserving of same. If you went to Benue State and Cross River, the Igedes, for example, two local governments of Igede are in Benue, 2 are in
they divided them
in Cross River. Across the band, who does that? You know what I mean? The jaws are in Edo, Ondo, Rivers.
So what I believe is in restructuring. For me, number one is resource control, right? And then to crop into what you were saying is some states, where you have divided, the way Nigeria was even divided, where
it's very funny.
We just picked us from north to south. Different ethnicities that do not have the same religions and cultures and ways. Some states, you will say, if Osun is failing, you better go back to Oyo. If Ekiti is failing, as Ekiti has failed for many years, better go back to Ondo, because again, all of these states were created for political reasons. But coming back to, and I would allow you finish, Cyril. Coming back to restructuring, if you have power over your resources, like Zamfara's gold, they say it's for Zamfara, but the Niger Delta oil is for Nigeria. And because the governor's lodge is closer, Alausa is in Lagos State, for instance, we can go and hold the Shokoto of a governor, but we cannot go and hold the Shokoto of the president because Abuja is far. When a governor misbehaves and is in total control in a true federal state, you can hold them more accountable. When you also have true federalism, local governments must also therefore work. It's because local government funding is coming from Abuja. People are looking to Abuja rather than looking at the local government chairman and councillors and say these are the governments closest to us. Instead of looking at presidents, in true federalism, we'll be holding our local government chairman accountable for governance.
So this is the issue, Citizen Jones. Again, as John McKay has rightly put it, because we are a multi-ethnic society, country, there are nearly 250 or 500 different...
They say 400.
Hundreds of ethnic groups. When we come together, it is only natural that there will be mutual distrust, mutual suspicion, but that can only be doused if we have a natural sense of belonging.
True.
That coming into this country is not our own expense. Okay? So what do we now do? It means that what is ours naturally, culturally, educationally, by civilization should remain ours. But that as partners in a whole, we can make contributions to. For example, defense, issues like defense, foreign affairs, and so on. Those are matters that are best left to the federal government.
But Cyril, how come you and I are just agreeing? As you are saying it, my mind is just saying yes, because you are speaking my thoughts. And this sounds like gibberish to the ones in leadership.
I hope he's not taking everything you want to say here.
I'm absolutely agreeing with what he's saying. Because in true federalism, if each state is in charge of its own resources, and you must provide your own internally generated revenue,
for your own development,
and then you are only contributing a percentage of that to federal, such that federal is only in charge of international relations from military, and go and talk about WHO, go and talk about UN General Assembly, but leave, security of each state to the governors, leave primary, secondary, and even tertiary education to the governors, primary, tertiary healthcare to the governors, based on how much they are able to generate in taxes and sales of their resources. So Kebbi can come and sell rice to Lagos State, and Lagos will say, okay, we'll give you tax rebates when you are bringing in your whatever it is that you are importing to Kebbi or other states, and everybody is fighting, because we are now CEOs of our own state, and everybody is fighting to increase their revenue.
Yeah.
And only a percentage of each of that is going to then the center will become less attractive, less powerful, less controlling.
Exactly.
All right. Jumoke and Cyril, I want to thank you very kindly for your interventions. But I know you know that politicians have this histrionics and theatrics as their major tools in dealing with Nigerians. Today, the southern and middle belt leaders are talking. Tomorrow, it could be, you never can tell. And that's the way we roll. And so the debate must continue. If restructuring is a word you prefer, is a word after your heart at a time like this, Homo Politicus will return the next time. Until then, this is yours sincerely. On behalf of Jumoke Alaude James, thank you for coming.
Thank you so much,
and
sir.
of course, Cyril Abaku, many thanks too.
My pleasure.
This is yours sincerely, Citizen Jones Hussein, thanking you for your time. Bye-bye now. Enterprise TV, a tradition of truth.